All right. Hi, everybody. Good day. So, welcome to another episode of Skill Hats Alumni Tech Talk series. I'm thrilled to be your host today in our exploration of how to land and thrive in a high paying tech roles. We have a very special guest with us today, Tolu Ekujumi, a distinguished data insights lead. Our topic today is especially exciting as we delve into the strategies, experiences, and insights from Tolu's journey on how to land and thrive in high paying tech roles using data driven career decisions. I think that's what many of us are doing knowingly and unknowingly. Now, Tolu's experience is like many of ours, especially mine. Now, as we delve into her background and story, we will discuss the early start of her career in a non-IT role, then returning back to school for a master's, and then moving into a product-focused role, tapping into her transferable skills, to her experience taking Skill Hat's actual business analyst course and accelerator, and then pivoting into more technical data-driven spaces. I hope that today's session will inspire you, especially with Tolu's unique journey in the tech world. And I hope that it motivates you. So grab your notebooks, get a drink of water, and just get ready to discover the secrets of building a thriving career in tech. All right, I know that was a bit of a long one, but Tolu, thank you and welcome. Thank you for joining me
Of
today.
course. Thank
I'm
you for having me
excited.
on.
I'm excited to have you here. Now, we've worked personally together quite a few years back at Loblaw. Um, one of my favorite experiences. Loblaw is like honestly one of the best places to work. Now that we're not there, now could you walk us through your tech career? I'm interested, definitely interested, given how far we've come.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And yeah, no, it's nice to speak to you again, also talking about tech still. But I feel like my experience is probably a bit similar to a lot of people's experience, where I guess the more I talk, you realize I don't have like a straight line approach um, to, going from like a non-tech environment into tech. So my background educationally is actually in psychology, but then I started off at Loblaw in more of a retail planning and merchandising space. And while I was there, I basically saw the potential to grow more, just more opportunities at Loblaw. Obviously, they have different divisions. And I just wanted to focus more on data because that was the part that intrigued me the most. But what I wanted to do was basically up my certification, up my game. And then I went to Waterloo to get a master's degree in management science. Now, this was focused on data analytics, a bit of programming, as well as process optimization. So these were like the areas that I was definitely interested in. And so I was able to land a role and get promoted in Loblaw in the strategy and analytics division. So a bit of business analytics, to be more precise. And then obviously clamoring for more, I started to look into getting a role in tech and what the potential for that was. Um, and I'd say like that really started my journey into, taking courses, um, doing more in the tech field. And well, now I am a partner insights lead at Flipp. So basically, my role is more focused on insights and analytics generation at Flipp, which is a company. It basically acts as a marketplace for deals, promotions, and basically helping you to save money weekly on your shopping. And so I'd say it is a product-led company and a product-focused company.
Mhm.
And my role specifically is analytics on that side.
Well, you guys are definitely doing a good job because I use Flip and everybody I know uses Flip. So that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
it's nice to not have to explain where I work and what we do every time, for sure.
Right, because everybody already knows the product, so it's just it's really easy to explain.
Yeah.
Now, kind of going into, because you touched on kind of moving and pivoting into a tech role. So what do you think motivated you to transition into tech, like officially? Because I know a lot of our roles touch on tech, but what actually was like that motivating factor for you to kind of, get into tech, and what guided your decisions?
So honestly, it was just me having the mindset of, so I'm someone who really likes growth. I like innovation. I like, just there being different opportunities to see progress. Felt like I could really get that in the tech space. And also, I'm not going to be, I'm not just going to sit here and tell you it was just emotional. Also, it was just thinking about the pay, right? Because I looked at like, oh, what does a business analyst earn in this company, and then looking at like other like tech companies and just comparing those salaries. I'd say that was also a motivator. I mean, the decision to stay in data and not, I guess, psychology was also financially motivated. So that's always a big part, right?
Of course.
Um, yeah, and I guess I just sort of had I saw that in tech companies, the also the work life balance was a bit different. I know that might not be the same for every role, but it was something that definitely got me interested.
Of course, of course. Thank you for sharing that. Now, what would you say, because as you transitioned to tech, what would you say before you actually officially transitioned into tech? What would you say was the top three transferable skills you had that also supported that transition?
So that supported my transition into tech. So
Yeah.
right. So I'd say, I guess, speaking to my role specifically in analytics, I'd say it's the fact that I did have sort of an analytics background. I'd say
Mhm,
like that was probably the most transferable skill that I had.
mhm,
However, I did see the need to actually learn how a tech company operates, and that was me going out taking more courses, like the BA course at Skill Hat, and
mhm.
also just being more interested in like what does a product team look like,
Yeah.
and I guess how product functions in tech versus like a non-product role versus like a non-tech role. Um, so I'd say in terms of the context, the analytics side hadn't like it didn't change.
Mhm.
However, um, I did want to learn more about what goes on in the tech space, and I think like that was also helpful for me.
Oh, I'm glad. Now, tapping into some of your education, because you mentioned taking the BA course at Skill Hat, and of course, I'm here representing Skill Hat, so I want to talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit more.
sure.
Um, what were the biggest gaps you had that made you want to, learn like the BA, like get into BA, right? Like, why not anything else? Like, what do you think, were your three or your, I wouldn't say three, it was just like, what was the biggest gap for you that made you want to take the course?
All right. So in my decision making, I wanted to just ensure that I was making an informed decision and ensure that I also was going to be successful in my journey. And
Okay.
so to, I guess, to decide like to make that transition, I thought about, okay, like what is a what is a potential role in the tech space that it would be easier to transition into.
Mhm.
And so because I realized, okay, I have data skills, I have process optimization skills, I basically just realized that those skills were easily transferable as well. And I guess it applied mostly to a BA role. I guess I could have also considered project management. I potentially could have considered the Scrum role, but I didn't feel like that tied in perfectly with what I already had. So
Mhm.
choosing the business analysis role specifically, or the course specifically, was just because of where I was coming from and the fact that it also was an easier transition. And so I did a bit of research into what is basically how the transition could be easier, also ensuring that I don't take a big hit on pay. However, for the most part, you wouldn't take a big hit on pay just
No.
because I'd say on average tech roles do pay more, obviously depending on where you're starting out.
Mhm.
Um, but it was easier for me to transition and was more related or related to my current skill set at the time. So that was why I had chosen the BA course.
I like that. And you talked about research, and that's definitely
It's
goes
so
along the
important.
line. It is important. And I think, of course, because you have a background in research and data, that would have definitely helped you drive your career decisions. With people who don't necessarily have a background in data, we kind of use data throughout our lives, right? And so I'm sure that you really tapped into that research.
Yeah, and I saw what I would be learning as well, right? I'd be learning to build a business case. I'd be learning. Um, I'd be part of the product development process as well.
Mhm.
I'd be learning to gather requirements, documentation. So those were areas that I also wanted to grow in, and I also wanted to. I thought were related to what I had.
Absolutely. So, what misconceptions did you have about the BA skills, or even the BA, like just kind of what BAs do in general, before you learned them? Because a lot of times people are like, "What's a BA? What do BAs do?" And even sometimes in the organizations themselves, they're like, "What's the role of a BA?" Sometimes that happens, right? So, what were your own misconceptions, before taking the BA course, like about the BA?
Right. Well, to be honest, I kind of came in with an open mind. I wasn't entirely sure what they did, or I guess um, I'd say I didn't realize how detailed and relevant the BA role was to
Mhm.
product development. I mean, imagine developing a product without a business requirement document, um, and or without like a business case and being able to prove out, let's say, the return on investment, or prove out like why this product is valuable or why it should be prioritized or invested in. And I guess I didn't realize how important and necessary that role was to product development. I'd say maybe the BA role probably looks different in different companies, but those
Mhm.
skills are definitely applicable in different roles. I mean, I'm not really a business analyst right now, but I do perform a lot of BA activities in my current role. So I'd say I didn't realize how relevant that role was to the success of a product, and
Yeah.
also to ensuring like everyone else on the team was aligned and worked together to accomplish a particular goal in the product development lifecycle.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on is that you took the BA course, you learned a lot of the skills, but you're not actually in an active BA role. But to who are watching this, I want you to understand that the IIBA says that anybody who has or is performing the task of a BA is technically falls under the category of business analysis, regardless of their job title. So you can be somebody in customer service. At the end of the day, you are gathering requirements from your customers and understanding what their needs are. You can be a teacher, you can be whatever. But the point is that if you understand a business's needs or their clients and you're able to get requirements from them, to support what your company needs to blossom, then you are working within the capacity. So that goes to my next question. What do you think are the three major skills you learned in the BA class?
Um, so I'd say developing a requirements document for sure. I think it just sort of puts you in a mindset of how to be detail oriented, the type of
Mhm.
questions to ask, and also you're thinking about the end. You have the end in mind, right? It's like, what is this product meant to look like? What is it meant to achieve? What are the company goals? And you're not always thinking about like functional requirements of a product, but you also have to think about it holistically and who are the
Mhm.
stakeholders. So I'd say like that was a key skill, and it was a key ability to develop, like how to document. And
Mhm.
also I think a big one was also just having an agile mindset. Because so I know for the skill hat classes, it's you could work in an agile or non-focus on a non-agile environment.
Mhm.
However, specifically speaking to the agile side of things, because we did learn that in class, was just having an agile mindset. Because I'd say at previous places that I had worked at, we would sort of work gradually and just it was slower,
Yes.
and you're sort of waiting for the decision to move or to implement something, and it usually went top down. um,
Mhm.
However, with an agile mindset, you're sort of like intentionally failing fast and failing forward. You're just testing different things, and I think there had to be a shift in that mindset, and I'd say like that was also very helpful for me. And also just building a business case as well, and just understanding that you always have to think about what the investment would be. Always understand, like always think about like different components of that product and what you're building, and like those were the key things. Those are the key things for sure. And also, Flip is a product focused company, as I said earlier, and it's just been a lot easier to have communication cross functionally with other teams as well as with other engineers as well, because we
Absolutely.
do learn a bit about that in thinking about like software development, and you understand like what's important to them is not always what's important to you, but at least you know have a conversation with them and ensure that you're sort of driving towards the same results.
Absolutely. I think I touched on a lot of things here. Now, kind of going back into just kind of how the education aspect um, helped you kind of pivot into the tech role. Do you feel like educating yourself helped you level up in your career, given and to give you more confidence and help you land the role that you're in today? Like, do you feel like that really helped you?
I say it absolutely did because now I not only understood um, I not only understood uh, like basically just how retail functioned, I understood the digital side of things as well. I
Mhm.
understood the software side of things. So I'd say like it definitely broadened my knowledge. And honestly, when you just have a lot, a lot of knowledge, I mean, obviously you want to just work with wisdom and not not feel like you know everything. However, like broadening my mind and understanding what the different capabilities are, understanding what the different options are, and I mean, in addition to taking like the BA class, going to my master's, learning stuff on my own online, learning different programming languages, was also being part of the accelerator program at
Yeah.
Skill Hats, because in that program I was able to sort of wear the hat of a business analyst and sometimes a product manager. I found myself even developing wireframes, like doing UX, UI, um,
Right.
and I wore different hats, and so I feel like that probably gave me more confidence as opposed to maybe
Yeah.
just the BA class.
Yeah.
So I think that gave me more confidence because I could sort of speak to them like, hey, I know what you do, and I know how my role can contribute to yours.
Absolutely. I always say that the BA is like right in the middle of the project. Like we literally touch base with everybody throughout the system development life cycle. So we know the business case, we know what drives the company to invest in a product. We know who the project managers are, we know who the development teams are, we know the data analysts, we know like down to like the scrum masters, we know them all. And so
Yeah,
when you have that understanding, it opens your mind to so much more on within other roles as well. So I feel like this really does help you when you're in a different role outside of business analysis. But you touched on something. You mentioned accelerator. So
right.
walk me through the accelerator. Can you describe like what the accelerator program is?
Right. So the accelerator program is offered by Skill Hats, and basically it is I'd say it's like I call it a boot camp where you're actually able to uh, develop and deliver a minimum viable product in a short time frame.
Mhm.
And I'd say it was beneficial because I had taken the BA class. I'd say it's probably the best when you do have some knowledge of the role that you're getting into. So I had taken the BA course, and now it was sort of like just left to execute. And so I was on a team with a lot of people who had also taken different skill hat courses, some people who were more experienced than others. And so it
Okay.
was also good to be able to 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 learn from others who had gained more experience, right?
Mhm.
And so I was actually able to do like, say, for instance, now understand like the business requirements and just like do a bit of research on the product that we were developing. And so we developed a fitness product
Okay.
was the MVP that we came up with. And so we actually did a lot of the groundwork doing interviews. I interviewed personal trainers as well as
Okay.
people who used to go to the gym just to try and figure out what they would be looking for in an app, in a web app or
Was
like
this actual personal trainers or was it like a mock?
no, it was for like personal trainers.
Wow.
I spoke to my previous trainer, asked her to contact with some other trainers, just to gain empathy of the customer, right,
Oh,
and understand
amazing.
what they would be seeking in a fitness app. So
Okay.
just to ensure that we're developing things that are right for the customer.
Okay.
And so I also worked with UI and UX developers, software developers, to then create the prototype and then do it out like wireframe stuff like that. But through it all, I was ensuring like I played the role of a business analyst in the entire development of the product.
Okay, so you would say, so you said you work with some UI, UX designers, developers. So were they all a part of the accelerator, or like what did your team consist of? Or was it
Yeah,
just
so
EA? Yeah.
so they were all part of the accelerator program, and some of them were sort of supplemental to the accelerator program, just because,
Yeah.
as I said, some people were more experienced than others, and
Of course.
obviously, we all needed support to actually get to this product in the short time frame. We were
Yeah.
given 9 weeks, and so part of the people on the team were product managers, other business analysts, scrum masters. I don't believe we had a project manager. We sort of had to like manage our timeline ourselves, and
Mhm.
also obviously we were given the timeline schedule by Skill Hats, and so these are the core roles in a product development team,
Of
and
course. That's great.
that's what the team was comprised of. And yeah, we were able to provide, I guess, and also like showcase our product to other hiring managers and people in the tech space as well, and just get that done within 9 weeks. So I'd say it was a great learning experience because I
Amazing. That's
had to
amazing.
put on a hat of like a product manager a few times. It did get me more curious about that role,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was fun.
That's amazing. I wish when I was taking a course like that back in the day, I had that type of kind of like mock project, or not even mock project, real project, right?
Yeah,
Um, so just before I get into some more questions, my folks online, please feel free to ask as many questions as you want to. I see that we have a few questions. So just, ask as many questions, because we are going to take some time near the end for you to ask us any questions that you want, specifically to Tolu, to ask her any questions that, might provide a little bit more insight for you, any questions you have about, pivoting into a tech career, interviewing, all of that sort of stuff. Just please ask the questions, and don't be shy. Now, who would you recommend the accelerator program to? Just given that you've taken it, who would you
yeah.
recommend, to take it?
So I would recommend the accelerator program to anyone who is knowledgeable about the roles that are in the I guess so. The accelerator program, there's basically different teams. So, and
Mhm.
the teams are comprised of several roles, some of which I just mentioned. So if you have knowledge and or experience in those roles, let's say you've maybe worked as a in the product management space, or let's say you worked even as an analyst like myself, you
Mhm.
worked in the BA space, you worked maybe as a program coordinator or something, and then you just want to learn about program management. So basically, as long as you have some understanding of the role that
Okay.
you're involved in, just because you do have a short time frame and it'll just make you a bit more effective being on the team, I'd say you definitely should try that out because you're going to learn a couple different things. I never built a wireframe before. I never built a prototype, but I had to. I had to learn how to use Figma, and that was not even my role. So it just really helps you cross functionally. You actually learn how to
It does
communicate.
help you.
Communication was one of the one of the biggest learnings on the team, and I'd say like these are really transferable in any role that you're in.
Amazing. No, thank you so much for sharing that, because it's really important for people to know like what they're getting themselves, into.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about product now, product focused tech roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for those on the call, just wanted to let you know that we are registering students for the product management program, and the first 3 classes are free if you sign up today. So just giving you a heads up to sign up and go onto our website, to the roadmap, skill hat roadmap, and map out your roadmap and see what works for you and what doesn't, and really take that product management program. Now, going back into the questions, what made you want to apply for a product focused organization? And what is the culture like? Because I know we worked at Loblaw, and there's several things that Loblaw offers. So what made you want to apply for a more product focused organization?
Right. So it really was strategic on my
Mhm.
end because another learning from trying to transition into a tech space is basically whatever role, or I'm gonna say whatever role, but a lot of the roles that you're in. Let's say if you're in supply chain, you could be a supply chain manager in a tech company. Um, you could do project management in a tech or non-tech company. So a lot of the experience you have is still applicable, between companies. And so, but my decision to apply to more product focused companies was just because of like my path, right? I wanted a place where I could actually apply the BA skills that I've learned, and I realized that it probably would be more relevant in like a product focused org, um, where everyone's sort of working for the maximization and um, just driving this product, right, which is
Mhm.
Flipp. Um, and so like everyone sort of has that focus, and also just knowing that later down the line I would like to be in a product space as a product manager, and so I knew that it would be easier to transition that way if I was doing a bit more product analytics, more business analysis,
Yeah.
and I was applying that to a product. So it was just more strategic for me. So I'd say, like, if you want to be in a product focus role, that is something that you want to look into. Just ensure that there's some product focus or product development focus area of the organization that you're getting into, just so you're not. And I guess a product could be anything, right? A product could be
Yeah.
data, it could be a service. Right now, as a data analyst, I mostly treat a lot of my dashboards and my reports as products, and so
Okay.
I'm already thinking that way, right?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like, a product is something that people use and it can provide value to them, right? And you're taking different steps to building that, and
Mhm.
so I basically apply that mindset to it.
And that's
Um,
definitely a different way to look at it, like that your dashboards are your own products, right?
yeah,
A product that you're giving to the business, which is really smart.
yeah, and then you're taking the same steps. You're gathering requirements. You're testing it.
Yeah.
You're providing a roadmap. So I realized that like this, these are the same steps that I'm applying
Of
anyway. So I'd say, like, the mindset, it was, I needed that. I needed a company that sort of followed that mindset and also had
Mhm.
agile practices. But it was mostly because I knew I wanted to be in a product focused role, and so that's
Mhm.
why I applied to Flipp.
Okay. Now, how do you think that product managers and BAs can become better at using data to find insights in their own, in their own journey, or even, companies that they work for?
Yeah. So I feel like in uh, in in the world that we live in right now, like, if you're not using data to make an informed decision, then there's a high chance of failure. I think
Yeah.
if you're not speaking to an analyst, or because even in testing, like, you have to understand, like, did this fail or did this pass based on certain criteria,
Yeah.
and those numbers are important.
Yeah.
So I'd say, like, for testing, you do need numbers. You do have to understand what passes or what fails, and then set parameters on that. However, even before we get to that testing phase, you have to think about, like, your market research,
Mhm.
and also look at adoption. Like, these are all numbers that we're talking about. You also have to look at return on investment, ROI. You also have to look at, I guess, if you're marketing, return on ad spend. So these are numbers that directly relate to your product or the business that you're working on. And so it just makes it a lot more convincing to sell that product,
Mhm.
because you have numbers backing it up. I know, numbers are not everything, but I'd say they are really important in making a decision. And
Yeah.
usually when I talk to product managers about their role, like, what they always mention is, like, the fact that I have the data driven part down, because
Mhm.
it's highly relevant in their decision making.
Absolutely. And they also say that numbers don't lie, right? So if you use data to drive, what you're doing, it's just never good. It shouldn't steer you in the wrong path. So I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's a big one. And as you mentioned, like using data in our everyday lives, like for example, some of my students when they ask, how do I get a job? Like how many times should I apply for a job? Like that's even in itself kind of asking a data related question. Like there is science behind how many jobs you should be applying for on a day by day basis. So somebody who's applying for 5 jobs a day compared to somebody who's applying for 20 jobs a day, that person who's applying for 20 jobs a day definitely will probably get a little bit more hits on their resume than somebody who's applying less. All right. So I like that you
It's always a
mentioned that.
numbers game. It's
Yes,
always a
it
numbers
always
game.
numbers.
There's quality is important, but quantity is also very important.
Of course, of course. Now, going into thriving in a tech role, because I know that's a lot of people want to know, like, how do I thrive? Like, okay, so I got the job. Now, how do I thrive and do very well?
Hmm.
What do you think helped you thrive and be confident within your, within your role, within your new role? I know I'm sure it's probably not new, but when you joined Flipp, like, what do you think
Yeah.
helped you to thrive and be more confident?
So it's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess I should say I have been at Flipp for a year. It's been a
Okay.
great year so far.
Amazing.
So
Congratulations.
thanks. So interestingly enough, the first couple of things I noticed that I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I took the BA course, or I'm so glad I learned these things on my way on this
Mhm.
journey, was the fact that they were sort of like using the same collaboration and project management systems that I had, not that I learned a lot, but I had
Yeah.
learned in Skill Hats, which was, specifically using Jira, because we do manage our requests in Jira. We
Okay.
do a lot of documentation in Confluence. Um, we use Slack for communication as well. And
Mhm.
so it was a very seamless and easy transition. It got to a point like I was helping my team manage their product backlog and basically like
In
helping them.
Jira?
Yeah. Because we worked heavily in Jira in the accelerator course, right? And
Mhm.
so that was very helpful for me. The fact that I was able to build a process map and build entity relationship diagrams, stuff like that. It was just like these little things, and that's why I say, and that's why I say like I feel like BA is something that the skills that you learn in BA are things that you could actually apply to different roles. Um, but I think right off the bat that helped me thrive because onboarding is a huge process, right?
Yes.
In a new role. But also other things that helped me to thrive were just um, communication skills as well, and just I'd say when if you're communicating with a team, with cross-functional teams, and you have the end in mind, you know what to focus on, you know what to prioritize, you know what to say to get you to the results that you want,
Absolutely.
um, because things are moving quite quickly, and so that experience also helped me um, just learn how to communicate, and as I said before, knowing how to document things, and that mindset shift was I'm not I mean obviously this is the first tech company that I've worked in, but I feel like it is characteristic of other tech companies where you sort of have to have like a mindset shift of, okay, things are moving quickly, so how can I communicate more effectively in a cleaner way, um, and documenting my process so it's easier to scale it's easier to scale, and and like and involve every stakeholder who's relevant,
Absolutely. No,
stuff
those are
like that.
really that's really
So it was
insightful.
little things, but I'd say it's the little things that really help you thrive, right? Skills
Mhm.
can be learned along the way, like programming skills, technical skills can be learned along the way, but a lot of the softer skills were helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely. That the technical skills can definitely be learned along the way. Kind of just kind of comes naturally, right? Like learning about APIs, learning about system integration. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely something to speak on. Um, okay, so I think kind of we're almost done with our questions. So guys, please ask as many questions as you would like to, so that I'll answer some of the questions near the end, and I have a little bit more, gems to share with you guys in terms of what Skill Hat's offering. So, what advice would you offer individuals aspiring to build successful careers in tech?
What advice would I offer to those aspiring to build successful careers?
Yes.
Um, So I'd say learn as much as you can about the space that you're in. Learn just other like people who work adjacent to your team, like just cross-functional roles. Just try to soak in as much knowledge as you can, just because you're all working towards a common goal, and then you're trying to ensure that you're communicating with them appropriately. So I'd say like that's one. Just continuously learning, and also because there's a lot of development in the space, is a big one. Um, and it's a process for sure. So it's a process with like applications, trying to land like the right role, trying to land the right company. um, it's it does take a bit of trial. It does take like several applications,
Okay.
and it did in my case. But I guess don't give up is the cliche thing to say. um, but yeah, just try to learn as much as you can.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you. Now we're going to get into some questions that some people, placed here on the chat. So
Sure.
first, I'll add. So goodness. So we have a few couple of questions from goodness. So, hey Tolu, how can I make data-driven career decisions to increase my chances of landing the kind of tech jobs I want?
So I guess I'm going to pick on the fact that she says data driven career decisions.
Yes.
So I'm going to assume that she means actually looking at numbers and letting that dictate how you find the role and the type of role that you're looking for. Um, so I guess in this case, it's a question of, because for me, I had to ask the question of, well, like, how much do I want to earn? Um, and
Hmm.
not just today, but also looking at like within the next 5 years, right? And what are the potential opportunities in this role? Like, is this something that is attainable? Um, and also looking at the investment that you've made. In my case, I had just completed a master's, and so I needed to recoup that in some way. Um, so I was not only just thinking about like my salary, but I was also thinking about like opportunity cost and like would I be actually able um, to make like the amount of money that I paid on my tuition within like a year or whatever my goal was. That was something that I did. Also, that was how I decided what role I wanted to go into, or what role I wanted to to transition into in a tech space. And another question that I asked myself was, um, how many open roles are there, right?
Oh, okay.
So in this field, do I believe that there are sufficient roles open? Um, and how frequently are they being refreshed? Stuff like that. So, like, let's say, and I don't know if this is true, but let's say there are fewer UI UX roles um, than data than data roles, or than um, business analyst roles. Then perhaps the UI UX space is not where I want to go, right? Because I
Yeah.
do want to make sure that I have more opportunities. And so answering questions like that, I'd say, would be the ideal way to go, right? I mean, literally in your day to day, you can apply numbers, you could apply data to making the decision that you want to make. Um, and yeah, so I guess to recap, it's looking at your income over time, looking at how many jobs there are, and if you're actually able to apply for several jobs, and then actually get the results that you want back.
Oh, that's so insightful. I hope that answers your question, goodness. Now, another question that she had was, okay, what kinds of life-changing career decisions did you make that really helped you land some of your roles and thrive in them?
Life changing career decisions. I'd say number one life changing career decision was making the decision to go into data.
Mm,
Um, so you know, because as I said, I had a background in psychology. So I mean, I did some analysis, I did research, I did stats. However, but I hadn't fully committed to the data side of things. So I see like that was probably the turning points. So that was number one. And then number two was deciding to be in a tech place.
Okay.
So because that completely changed the trajectory, right? So first of all, going into data, made me decide, okay, I want to do a master's. Um, just wanting to go into tech made me decide
Mhm.
I want to leave blah blah. So I'd say like those were things that helped me to like land the current roles or the roles that I've had over the years. So those are like the two major decisions.
To make your decisions.
Yeah.
No,
And,
thank you for that.
yeah. And until like I made those decisions and committed, nothing was really happening.
And I think that's the same for a lot of people. Like you have to really just have that drive and just push, and unless you do something, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So another question we have from Carlos is, okay, so what do you mean when you say you were taking your master's? Maybe you want to
Right.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So my master's degree, so like specifically speaking about a postgraduate degree. So after my university degree, I
Mhm.
decided to take a postgraduate degree in it was management science at Waterloo, but it
Oh,
was really focused around like data analysis, process optimization, and I chose my master's because of the courses in my master's.
okay.
Um, and I know I
What
could
kind of
have done.
courses were that interested you?
So the courses were so there was product analytics courses, there was process optimization, there was economics, there was stats. So it was a lot of like, and also even like programming languages. It was really just a mix of different courses that I felt like I could pull information from here or there and just apply it to my work, right?
Mhm.
So those I didn't just go for for an MBA or for like a business analytics focused masters. I sort of just wanted to. I knew I would want to maybe diversify and apply what I'd learned to different areas.
I like that. Thank you so much. So we have another one from a LinkedIn user. So what strategies or resources would you recommend for someone new to the business analysis role to continually develop?
Strategies or resources? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I say never underestimate um, the community of other business analysts. Some
Yeah.
people might be doing something a different way, and I mean, you probably can speak to that with maybe just your like more experience or working with other BAs. Some people might be doing something a different way that could help you out. Um, so other business analysts as well. Um, and also there are like open resources um, in the in the BA field. Like you're actually able to find like samples online. Let's say if you're trying to build a business process map, you're actually able to find samples online, what those tools mean. There are like free resources as well. Like let's say if you wanted to use, and I'm just putting it out there, I'm not entirely sure if it's
Mhm.
free or not. Let's say if you wanted to use draw.io as opposed to like a lucid chart or something to build out a process map. I'd say just continual practice as well
Of
is
course.
is another thing. I built a process map about my life and my experience
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah, because you just bring up questions and try to answer them using what you've learned. Um, and and also like if you're thinking about like getting new roles as well, you kind of have to do this. You're finding problems to answer because you don't actually have those problems to answer in your workplace. But then you need to show that you understand how to get to solutions and understand how to apply resources to get to those solutions. Because at the end of the day, it's really the same thing. So strategies or resources, I'd say community as well as the tools that you learn along the way.
Yes. So touching on community, something that you mentioned that I can kind of speak on, imperative. And I always tell people, if you want to optimize LinkedIn, follow people who follow the
Mm-hmm.
people that you follow and follow the people that follow them. Just follow a community of BAs because everybody's experience is different. And as you know, business analysis is very, there's the spectrum is very broad and you can be in different industries. And so what may work for somebody may also help you. So really touching and, tapping into your community is definitely important. I don't think that I would be where I am today as a business analyst if I didn't really just handhold the hands of other senior BAs in my community. So that's really important. Um, yeah, and then somebody mentioned here, just comment, building a life map is actually so cool. I think that's incredible. That is
It
so
was it
incredible.
was easy because, as I said, I don't have a straight path to where I got to today. It was
Yeah,
kind of funny to see.
including like decisions, like do I do
Yes,
this or do
no,
I
will
do
I make
that?
money?
Yes,
Yes or
no,
no?
maybe, alternate path.
Yeah.
So same question from Tambra. Hi Tolu, why the need to get into data analytics even though you did the BA course? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, um, I'm yeah, I guess I'm the type of person who mostly focuses on the tasks as opposed to the name and the title.
Mhm.
Um, but just just to be completely honest, I was more okay. So after taking the accelerator program, I realized that okay, the BA class, the BA course is pretty interesting, but I'm also interested in product development and being a product
Mhm.
manager. That was another thing, and so uh, in applying for different roles, I was applying for BA roles as well as like product management roles. But then I saw that there was also a path through Flipp. So I was
Okay.
able to, I felt like it would be easier for me to sort of marry my current experiences as um, being analytics and be able to apply it to a product and then potentially see the path of becoming a product manager.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was able to still apply the BA skills, the tools that I learned in that role. So I'd say it's just maybe it was more so about me being more so like task and accomplishment focused than looking for a specific title. Because yeah, Tombra, I could say I'm a business analyst. You know what I mean? Like I could
Yeah.
say that in my previous role, I could have said I was a business analyst, because that's what I was doing day to day. I work with retailers and I help them to solve their business problems and also help with the development of solutions, right? So I was more so focused on the company, and also it was easier to transition that way because I already had the skills. Um, the BA side of things helped me to really understand how tech companies worked, how product
Yeah.
development worked, and so I didn't feel like I necessarily needed a BA role in order to get in anymore. Um, However, if you want to stay in the BA field, you want to be a business analyst, like core business analyst, working in that product development space as a business analyst, then yeah, definitely you could stay focused on getting that role, getting that title. But for me, I just saw more of an opportunity to still get into a tech role, but then now transition into products, which was what I now grew more interested in.
More interested in. Perfect. Thank you so much. So another question that we have is, can you also share some insights on how to approach unfamiliar or complex situations as a BA or any role for that matter in a way that fosters confidence and effective decision making?
This one's a loaded question.
Of
I might also defer to you to maybe answer
course. Of course.
complex decisions as a BA,
Yeah.
but I will say um, approaching unfamiliar situations in any role is something that everyone is going to experience. So really, this question is really just asking about dealing with ambiguous situations in a way that fosters confidence and effective decision making. So for me, I always have to take stock of the stakeholders involved. I always have to take stock of who does this situation or decision affect, and I feel like that really helps me to narrow down what to focus on,
Hmm.
right? Because I probably wouldn't be solving the problem. Um, it would just determine like how I go about solving that problem.
Yeah.
And so I know that the end result is going to be relevant to whoever is involved in that solution. Um, Also, really just being able to document everything, to maybe document like my thinking process. Um, Also, just determining like what is relevant for this problem. So let's say in data analysis, for instance, if I'm being asked to develop a report, I would have to think about like the parameters of the report and just work along those guidelines.
Okay.
And in that way, it's highly unlikely that I'm going to end up with something that's ineffective. And also, I'd be more confident because I know I'm developing something that is valuable and is useful for those involved. If I need to think about like the future, is there any investment involved? Those are those are things that I would also use, right, in developing a
Absolutely.
complex solution.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just kind of like to chime off of what you mentioned is in talking about approaching unfamiliar complex situations. First thing is I do with complex situations, I try to demystify like what's so complex about this, right? Like what's the biggest issue with this? How is it complex? And I try to like brainstorm around how to solve the complexities around it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's breaking things down. I always say if something looks complex, break it down. Break it down into little chunks and pieces, and then try to attack it at its root. Like where is like the biggest issue, and then brainstorming, talking to people and really documenting. And I think everything I just mentioned is documentation. It's just documenting and really figuring out what is the complexities around things. And then also, what are the biggest pain points and how do you resolve those things, right? So I think that's really something that, Tolu touched on as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to add a question. And this is probably going to be one of the last questions before I talk about some of the gems that we have here to offer at Skill Hat today. So, how effective was LinkedIn in helping you find and land your tech roles?
Um, I'd say it was extremely effective. Low key, I didn't really go many places outside of LinkedIn to search for a role. Um,
Hmm.
but it was very effective because I actually found my role on LinkedIn. Um, and so it was easy to sort of like filter into what roles I was looking at. Also, I was getting suggestions from companies that that's sort of tied into like other companies that I was looking into or was applying to. I guess the algorithm just works that way. Um, and so I'd say like LinkedIn was very effective. And another way was I was sharing what I was doing in the skill hack courses and the accelerator course as well. And just, in my daily life, what I was, well, not daily life, obviously I wasn't getting that detailed, but in my professional life, I was putting stuff out there.
Hmm.
If we developed something in the accelerator program, I'd put it out there, talk about the value of it. I'd be
Yeah,
able to share it, get more interactions that way. Obviously, have my resume, my profile on there, and also I did try to optimize my LinkedIn. Change my pictures, my background. There actually there's a lot of tips on improving your LinkedIn. Also, just ensuring that you're open to work. Um, I'd say like there aren't a lot of platforms out there that really have those um, that are that flexible and actually help you along your career journey like that. And so, as I was putting out these things, I was able to see, I was able to see traction, right? I was able to see
of
movement.
course.
People were looking at my profile, and I'm really sure, like at Flipp, I sort of had that record, right? They could see that, right? That I had done stuff in tech,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, the hiring manager didn't say this, but I do feel like it was helpful.
It definitely is helpful. And I'll share something with you, probably make you laugh. I actually used your LinkedIn as like a case study for my students. Like yours is like top. I know Moses as well, and a few other people within the Skill Hack community. I always go on your page and I say, "Hey, look at her banner. Look at how she's had everything that she has." So I always use you as an example. Um,
Right. I focused on where I was going and not where I was, at the time that I was applying for roles. I think that was a big thing that I learned. But I'm flattered. I use yours as well, which
Oh, do
is
you really? I'm
yeah.
flattered because I it, it's funny because I've been in the VA space for a long time,
Mm.
but it wasn't until actually this year that like sometime this year that I actually started optimizing my LinkedIn. I think it was when I started teaching people how to optimize their LinkedIn. I'm like,
I
God,
should probably practice this.
I'm teaching people how to might as well optimize
Yeah.
mine, right? So I think it was a big one. So we're gonna close out soon. I'm just gonna use the last 5 minutes to talk about what we have here to offer at Skill Hat. But just to end, what's next on the horizon for you? Any exciting plans or projects you're looking forward to in your career?
I guess what's next is just learning more about the space that I'm in
Mhm.
because, I am still on the product management path. And a couple of things that I've learned about being a good product manager is almost like living and breathing your product. I've noticed certain skill gaps that I have as a product manager. I am considering taking the product management course with Skill Hat, and I'm like, I just keep taking courses.
I have as well, I have as well. I
Oh,
like
okay.
throughout the entire year, I have to take the product management course at Skill Hat. I have to take the product management course. Even as like a teacher, I'm like, I have to take this course, right? Because
That's what I'm saying.
the
You don't stop learning.
you
But
don't stop learning. You don't. I'm like, yeah, I've taught some of you guys, but I'll be a student with you guys as well. So I
yeah,
think
I
that's
saw the DTTP, the whole scholarship thing for product
yes.
management. And I'm like, I wish I had time for this.
Yes. So the DTTP. So since you've mentioned that, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the DTTP.
Oh,
So
wasn't even an intentional.
I literally had that up next. So guys, we have a DTP scholarship. So this is for Black Canadians and new immigrants to Canada. And I know there's a lot of us, okay? So for Black Canadians, I have a lot of information. So I'm just going to go into my phone really quickly to show you guys. But so the DTTP scholarship is for product design or web development, okay?
Mm,
So it's really going to benefit anybody who's learning UI UX design, and it's especially for PMs or BA. So that I personally may even apply myself, right? Because we do UI UX design as BAs. Now it's a 10K scholarship funded by the Canadian government. $10,000 Canadian from the government. It's free money, guys. So you should apply. I'm also going to mention that we do have funding for one cohort. So this is just going to be for one cohort for the UI UX design class. And you can get some more information on our website. Now, moving from there, I want you guys, please, since you guys have been on this call with us and we've been sharing a lot of gems, book a free career consultation with one of our learning advisors to help you navigate how to get into a 6 to 7 figure tech career in 2024. I know December is like when we slow things down a little bit, but as you can see from, myself and Tolu, like we really kind of built our careers in the tech space. And of course, like Tolu said, she's not going to lie. Of course, the income aspect obviously drove some of her data-driven decisions as well.
mm,
So it's definitely something to consider. Also, join our product course for free. Maybe you might see me as a student there, right? So join our product course for free. You heard me, free. The first 3 classes are free. Even our business analyst class, I know it's actually, we are currently running a BA course because I'm teaching it, but we do have 3 classes for free, and I think it's something that you should definitely sign up for. I will most likely be signing up for those three free classes. And yeah, so this is just something for you guys to know. Please, 10K, $10,000 free, and we are having that the first cohort open, so it's only for our first cohort. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and message some of our career guides. Okay. I want to say a huge thank you to our incredible guests. Okay, Tolu Ekujumi, for sharing your invaluable insights. Your experiences and advice will undoubtedly give and inspire our audience on their journeys. So
absolutely.
thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much.
hope this was helpful to anyone aspiring to be in tech or in data, and just understand like your experience counts and is relevant, and could definitely be applied anywhere.
Thank you so much. Thank you. More questions, please go on our website and book a free consultation. It's free. Book one for tomorrow. the following day or next week, just to get some more insight on the DTP and also for our product management and BA courses. Thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. I know we're in the same community, so we'll definitely see each other.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Okay, bye. And thank you guys for joining. Bye bye.